everyone.
Hello.
We are back with another in our History of Perfume series. I feel like we're coming almost right into present day now.
We are, yes. Penultimate one, yes. Really, this is, yeah.
We did up till 1980 last time.
Yes. So we'll link all the others below. If you haven't watched them first, maybe you want to go back.
Yes. If you've got a spare hour or
few hours. They're quite long.
Just us chatting, really.
Yeah.
As always. So we thought we would do 1980 and 1990. Yes. So the last sort of 20 years of the last decade. Because quite a lot happened in perfume.
A lot happened, and because we were alive, we maybe have more thoughts on it.
Exactly.
And there's also a lot that's still available now that we can show and smell.
That's true. Yeah, including some of the ones that Sarah and I work with. So we'll show some of those. Interesting period in terms of social history, this one.
Yes.
Because like the whole of the 80s, I mean, they're so famous, the 80s.
I love
the yuppie
80s.
decade, isn't it?
Yes, it's like consumerism and kind of nouveau riche, shoulder pads, gold earrings.
It was big. Everything was big. Everything was bold. Everything was powerful, including fragrances.
Exactly.
And I felt like it. I mean, I remember this time. It's so weird, isn't it, when you live through it? Because at the time it just felt normal. But now looking back on it, and I think, you know, about my mum, like getting dressed up to go to work in London, you know, with her big hair and big shoulder pads and. I thought, everything, big perfume. She wore some heady scents.
So the kind of ingredients that were big in the 80s, there's most decades, there's kind of a couple of different trends, isn't there?
Well, I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because actually when you start to look at it, there's always exceptions to the rule.
Always. It's like fashion, you know, but
there were some big florals.
Big florals were the thing. So like tuberose, big orange blossom, jasmine, you know, all those big white flowers, really.
And actually it's interesting because floral bouquets have been around for a long time, but it's almost like coupled with sort of spiciness or
oriental,
animalic even. They almost felt like they were ramped up a notch. These were the perfumes that walked into the room 10 feet ahead of you.
100%, We've got actually a couple to show you. So maybe talk about big florals. One which we could show you is here. Passion by Annick Goutal. So Annick Goutal launched in 1981. Oh God, I can't remember what year this launched.
So I think this is 83.
83, yes. It was one of the first.
Because I think her first one was, or her very first one was one called Folle Avril, which I don't think is available anymore. And then she launched Eau d'Adrian, which we did talk about in a previous video.
Yes.
But this was kind of her. For me, this was her 80s fragrance.
And this was the kind of thing that she liked to wear, wasn't it? She liked that big, bold floral.
I think it's for a confident woman.
For this one. Definitely.
It's powerful.
Thanks. And there's a funny story behind this fragrance, because this was also at the time, a little bit after she launched Passion, she went to Combe Break, America, because she's French. And she set up in America, she had a counter in Saks. And she basically got, Elizabeth Taylor tried to sue her because Elizabeth Taylor, the first celebrity perfumer, which will come on to celebrity perfumes later, but she had a fragrance called Passion as well. And she said, who's this French lady coming over trying to sell a fragrance in the same name as me? But actually, Annick Goutal won. So they went to court. And Annick Goutal won and had the right to sell Passion in the States. I think it was all about it in the States.
It must have been registering the name.
Exactly. And she'd actually registered the name before Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor had to withdraw it from sale in America.
Because this was launched before Liz Taylor launched Passion then.
No, this was launched after. About the same time. That's why there's this grey area about who had the rights to the name. But anyway, Annick won, apparently.
So let that be a lesson to all of you budding perfumers out there. Register your name.
Check first.
This, you know, it's that kind of Giorgio Beverly Hills.
Oh my gosh, so Giorgio Beverly Hills as well is one that really reminds me of that time. And that was one which is so similar to this in that it's
big tuberose.
Yes, and it was just like you imagine someone on Rodeo Drive, really sexy, show-offy, kind of Pretty Woman-y.
Well, yes, because of course, was Pretty Woman, was that
80s or 90s? I can't
remember now, but that
whole, early 90s.
Again, that whole thing of like, you know,
can have everything.
Yeah, the fairy tale comes true, you know, and it was a lot about consumerism, and because weren't they shopping? I think someone said to me the other day, it was like Rodeo Drive was the third person in the Richard Gere and Julia Roberts relationship.
Yes.
I might have got that from a book. Probably from Lizzie's book, actually.
Oh yeah,
we must mention this.
Yes, this is such a great book. If you're interested in perfume of the last kind of 100 years or so, Lizzie's book, Lizzie Ostrom, she's a British lady. She's also known as Odette Toilette. We've talked about her before, but this book is so great. She writes in such a fun, entertaining way about 10 fragrances from each decade of the last kind of 100 years or so, and she definitely spoke about Giorgio Beverly Hills, and she has nice little illustrations as well, and so she's got the palm trees from like Rodeo Drive in there, and we love this book. She has some great stories in there that she's done a lot of research into. So yeah,
it does quite nice, some of the
stories. It sets the picture, you know, for the fragrance.
Yeah, there we go. It says this was a starring role in the 1990 romantic comedy Pretty Woman as a third person in the Gere Roberts relationship.
Yes.
The other thing that she tells us about Giorgio Beverly Hills in here is that it was banned from a lot of restaurants.
And I had heard that as well. And yeah, I'd heard that as well. And also you might have a memory of, because I have a colleague who worked on the launch of Giorgio Beverly Hills. They used to wear a yellow and white striped bomber jacket as their uniform. Yeah, she's still got one. But
probably back in fashion.
Yeah, well, I think bomber jackets are. Yeah. So anyway, that was Passion, which is, as we said, quite along the same lines as Giorgio Beverly Hills and all of those big floral fragrances.
I feel like, because this is quite sparkly as well, with that galbanum note. That whole galbanum greenness was really big at the time, wasn't it? That's big. Galbanum is a resin, if you didn't know, and it's got like a real sort of dense. I want to say it feels like thick, gluey champagne. Do you know what I mean by that?
See, I feel it's
not
like,
light and sparkling.
It's like fresh cut grass, but really
strong,
intense.
Well, sometimes cut grass is intense, isn't it?
Yes.
Like if you just literally walk through a field
and it's wet, it's like that. And we've got a fragrance to show you, which is a big one from the 80s, which showcases galbanum very well, and that's from Cartier, Must de Cartier. So I've got two out here because first of all, the bottles have changed a lot over the years. They've redesigned them, I think, like every 10 years or so. So this is the latest. I think these were last year that they launched this shape.
They did a bit of a relaunch of this, didn't they?
They did, and they launched a fragrance called Musk Gold as well at that time. But this is the original Parfum and Eau de Toilette. Now,
is that the pure perfume?
Yeah, and that's what's important, is because actually when they first launched this fragrance, it was 1981, they launched the Parfum. And so what often happens is that people go into store and say, I want to try Must, and they try the Eau de Toilette because it's the kind of most well-known one. And they say, oh, it's not the same as what I used to have, and that's because it's the Parfum. I think that was launched, the Eau de Toilette was launched in 83. Okay. So it was a couple of years afterwards. So if you want the real original, you've got to go for the Parfum. So let's try that.
Yeah. It's quite a big size for a Parfum, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And
30 mil?
50.
Wow, that is
50. And then they also actually used to do a refillable version of the Parfum. Do you remember?
Yes.
But I think they've stopped that now. Here we go. So it's a lovely red colour, which it's always been. It's so confusing, isn't it? Because
it's literally sweet and green at the same time.
Yeah, so confusing. So the galban, I mean, it does smell like grass.
But it smells like chocolate as well.
Vanilla-y.
It's, it's like a green chocolate.
It is, isn't it? Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
With kind of a gooiness to it.
Yeah. Cartier often describe it as an olfactory shock.
It is.
And I think that is true, because it's like, it definitely provokes a reaction.
And I think that, like, this is the whole thing about the 80s, is there were so many women's and men's fragrances out there that got noticed. And it was like, you know, status symbols were the thing.
Definitely.
It was all about what you owned, how much money you earned,
showing
you know,
it off.
showing everything off. And this was, all of these fragrances were like show-off fragrances.
Definitely.
I mean, you would be remembered for sure in the 80s by your perfume.
Yes, definitely.
You know, the other big vanilla fragrance, real spicy floral, was Obsession.
Oh, of course.
1985.
Yes, Obsession. I mean, that was a huge advertising campaign as well, wasn't it?
And it was quite risque, wasn't it, at the time? And sort of odd, the Obsession advert. It was kind of... and then the other one that we have to mention in 1980, I think it was 85 or 80... Yeah, 85 was Poison.
Oh, Poison, yes, and Poison. It was quite, you know, it was quite sweet, that as well, wasn't it? And so powerful and heady.
But it wasn't just the women's fragrances that were quite powerful either, because there were some really big, bold men's fragrances.
So stuff like one of the key ones would be Kouros from Yves Saint Laurent. That's, you know, a massive fragrance of that period, really, and that is, you know, huge, isn't it, in terms of its smell.
And quite interesting, tapping into that kind of whole bodybuilding thing. I mean, Kouros was the whole sort of ethos was about the Greek statues, you know,
the perfect,
the
Adonis body.
And if you think about the 80s, like, that was really important as well.
Gosh, definitely. You know, all like Jane Fonda workouts and stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, if spandex was in, you needed to look good in spandex.
Definitely,
So you needed your Jane Fonda video.
Yeah.
It actually kind of leads us nicely onto the 90s, because one of the trends in the 90s was still that kind of
the body.
And because I think about Jean-Paul Gaultier with their torso-shaped fragrance bottles.
I mean, gosh, he's very good, Jean-Paul Gaultier, doing something risque and thought-provoking. But when those launched, I mean, even still now, a lot of people pick them up and kind of make comment, don't they? Especially on the men's one, and the fact that they came in a tin can as well. It's just so different.
But Versace did as well, though, didn't it?
Oh yes, of course.
The Versace jeans.
Yes, that did. But both of those, the men's and the women's in Jean-Paul Gaultier, are quite vanilla-y, aren't they? So they link with...
They sort of pick that sort of sweet
train. Maybe we should talk about that, because that sweet train from the 80s then developed into this real gourmand trend of the 90s.
Of course, if you're talking about a gourmand trend or a sweet trend, you know, the fragrance of the 90s that captured everybody's imagination.
Angel, Thierry Mugler. I mean, even still now, it's such a massive selling fragrance, because
it's quite polarising.
Oh my gosh, very. I mean, I have to say, personally, I really don't like it, and I find it difficult to be next to someone wearing it.
I think I've got used to it, because, like, working in perfumery in the 90s,
smell it a lot.
You just have to get used to that. But I mean, it was so clever, really, what he did.
Oh my gosh, amazing!
I mean, he just used like this caramel, synthetic kind of caramel notes.
It shows off, you know, what you can really do with synthetics, because a huge amount of it is that kind of caramelly, chocolatey, candy flossy, all of those notes in one.
And that has continued that trend. I mean, today there's a lot of gourmandy toffee. I mean, Jimmy Choo, one of the big fragrances that we work with at the moment, that launched about, I don't know, 2011, and that has got a massive toffee note. So you can see that these trends of late have just carried on and been developed.
They have.
But I think when I think about the 90s in terms of the sort of social history of the 90s, I don't really think that perfume captured it.
No,
it was the sort of clean aquatic perfumes that captured the
zen feeling, the kind of minimalism of the 90s. You know, it was that kind of people in their houses were painting everything white and having everything glass.
Feng shui.
Yes, feng shui, definitely. And I think, you know, it stemmed from things like the huge kind of press around HIV in the late 80s that then led in the early 90s to this kind of clean detox kind of feel. Yeah.
I also read, now again this may have been Lizzie Ostrom's book, that apparently sales of mineral water like quadrupled in the 1990s.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, even like Michael Jackson was kind of bathing in
yeah, and there
mineral
was
water.
all these fancy diets that came out, and yes, it was all like, it was like detoxing from the 80s where you'd overindulge.
Yeah, and now you
suddenly,
need clean living.
Exactly. And
there was this escapism theme, wasn't there? You know, in get away, get to the sea.
Yes.
You know, I think that's why these aquatics were so popular at that time.
Definitely, yeah. So one of the biggest aquatics, and probably kind of the first really, is Issey Miyake's fragrances. So L'Eau d'Ossé and L'Eau d'Ossé pour Homme. So we've got them because we work with them. So L'Eau d'Ossé launched in 1992, and it was a great response to these heavy oriental fragrances of the 80s,
because it still has longevity, so it still has the power, but it had this sort of remarkable cleanliness to it, like water on a woman's skin.
It's meant to smell like water on a woman's skin, but done with flowers. It's really all white flowers, things like freesia, lily, white rose. And this, I mean, the women's one, I remember my auntie buying this when I was young, and it being, you know, the fragrance to have. You know, she thought she was so cool because she'd got her hands on this. And
but it stood the test of time.
It has.
In fact, and the men's has as well. I've got hands here to show you, just confuse you. There we go. I mean, this whole thing, it's interesting. When I smell the men's, I do feel...
I love the men's.
I do feel like I'm back in the 90s, I have to say.
I still smell... This is definitely the fragrance that we work with that I smell the most when I'm out and about on the tube and the train and stuff. And
so many
like
of my friends wore that.
Yeah, but for me, I don't know, it is dated in some ways because it's so of that time, but I feel like if you wore this now, you wouldn't look stupid, you know, because it's classic in that it's got that the great ingredients of a men's fragrance, you know, the citrus and the spices and the woods.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of
you
just smell fresh and clean, but it lasts.
It's kind of the genius, isn't it, of perfumery, where a perfumer can, like with both the ladies and the women's, the ladies and the men's for Issey Miyake, the perfumer has been, who was Jacques Cavalier.
Jacques Cavalier, who's still around now, you know.
I mean, Jacques Cavalier co-created with Alberto Morillas Acqua di Gio, which was another massive aquatic fragrance of the 90s. And that style is
and those two guys, you know, are still making lots of the big blockbuster fragrances now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love both of these. Yeah. And they do capture, you know, if you can compare them back to things like the Passion or the Must of the 80s, that is very kind of shoulder pads and Dynasty and Dallas, and this is very kind of Beverly Hills 90210.
Yes, little camisole top, cropped camisole top. Yeah,
and you know the other big thing that was sort of very clean at that era was the CK1 fragrance.
Yes,
it kind of tapped into that androgyny. There was a lot of androgyny in perfume.
That was huge. I remember when I started working in perfume, that had not long launched, and people were coming and buying that in their droves, and you know the kind of waif look of Kate Moss, you know, that whole thing was massive. And the other thing though, not aquatic but still in a kind of clean living and freshness, was this tea fragrance,
green tea,
soft but clean, and we've got a good example of that actually, because
I think you want to show
this is Bulgari.
I think this was the first green tea fragrance of the 90s. It was launched in 1992, and it was, well, if not the first, then one of the first perfumes to capture that green tea note, which then became really, really popular.
Here we go.
Thank you.
So this was made by Jean-Claude Ellena. I feel like we've talked about this quite recently, but originally it was made as a perfume for sale. It was made as a gift for Bulgari's top clients, and to be like a kind of smell reminiscent of the brand of Bulgari, and they do still pump it out in their hotels. So when you walk into a Bulgari hotel, it smells amazing. And obviously they use this fragrance a lot in like really nice hotels where they have the miniatures of shampoos and conditioners and that kind of thing. So it's a lovely.
It's still. I mean,
calming,
it's clean as well. But this is the trend that you were tapping into.
Exactly.
It's fabulous. I actually find this a very easy scent to wear today. Again, talking of timeless fragrances, I don't think this is stuck in the 90s.
No, not at all. No, definitely not. So, yeah, that's kind of the main trends of the 80s and 90s. We will continue and do one more video talking about the 2000s up until the present day, really. So stay tuned for that in a few weeks' time. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Let us know what your favourite 80s or 90s fragrance was. Would be interesting to know.
And are you still wearing them today?
Yes.
Or did they kind of just get resigned to the bedroom drawer?
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Bye.